Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am Christine Dixon of The Ordinary Sacred, and I'm so happy you're back here with me. We're in another hotel room. We're now in Houston visiting more kids and grandkids. And today's video is kind of a part two to the last video. In the last video, I talked about what is neurosensitivity. And in this one, I'm going to answer, you might be neurosensitive if, and tell you about 20 different experiences that neurosensitive people often have. So you can kind of assess where you are uh, sensitivity wise. So before I do that, though, I have two quick announcements that I'm excited about. So one of them is I've been meeting with my parts trying to figure out how can I uh, gain the money that it costs for me to have my website and platforms in order to offer all of my self-paced courses, meditations, workshops, worksheets, etc. on my website as free gifts. So if you don't know that, they are all free gifts. You can go to theordinarysacred.com and you can access any of my courses or other resources for free. But I need to be able to pay for the website and the platforms to support it, right? So the idea that my parts came up with is that here on YouTube, and some people on YouTube make a lot of money if they have lots and lots of followers, but most people don't. They make money through affiliates or their own products or things like that. So, but what I was thinking is on YouTube, if you look at the video, underneath where there's the title and then there's these little icons on the right hand side that are like, the thumbs up, thumbs down, different things like that. There is one that is a heart with a dollar sign in it that says thanks. And if you don't see it, you might see an ellipses, the three dots, and you just press on that, and that will be one of the options. So it's kind of a thanks gift. And so what my inner system, were thinking is that from now on this video or any of my videos, if you click on that and you give a gift of any amount, I think it ranges in dollars from $2 to $500 or something, but any amount that you choose, if you give the gift, you can either make a comment, and if it's appropriate, I will shout you out and read your comment in the next video, or you can ask a question and I will answer your question in the next video. And if I'm really inspired, maybe I'll make an entire video answering your question. So I thought it might be a great way to kind of raise money so that I can support the platform to make all of my other resources free gifts. So if you're interested, if you're not, that's completely fine. But if it sounds like something fun to you, you have a question about internal family systems, parts work, nonviolent communication, um, what it looks like to work in your own system or in relationship with other people, how to listen to your body compass, neurosensitivity, neurodivergence, whatever your question is, you're welcome to put that in the chat with a gift of thanks, and I'll be happy to answer your question. So let me know if you have any questions about that. And then the second quick thing is it's not fully fleshed out now. I've mentioned it before, but I'm really excited that I want to create a monthly support group for people who are neurosensitive using parts work. I need to think of a good name for it. So if you have a name that you think would be fun for a support group for neurosensitive people using parts work, maybe that's the name, but let me know. But I'm hoping to start it in October, and it will likely be the first Friday of each month. Not sure exactly the time yet, but just stay tuned for that. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in something like that. Okay, that's it. Without further ado, I'm going to share my uh, little screen with you. And we're going to go through these. I'm going to try to just read them as I have written them so that this video isn't too long. But You might be neurosensitive if 20 common experiences of highly sensitive people. 1, you are easily overwhelmed by sensory input, whether that's loud sounds, strong smells, strong tastes, coarse textures, bright lights, etc. And this profile can vary from person to person. Some people are really bothered by certain textures. Some people are really bothered by loud noises. Some people by bright lights. Some people by all of it. You can have different variations on that. Number 2, you are easily affected by other people's moods or emotions. You're empathic. You absorb others' energy. Your energy can be drained by other people. You tend to intuit what others need. People may come to you for comfort or advice, and then you need space to process after being with people. Which leads to number 3. You need a lot of alone time to process to process other people's energy, to process your own emotions and energy and thoughts, to recharge, to be authentic and not have to mask, to just relax and be yourself, to feel your own emotions. There's lots of other reasons why you might need alone time or more alone time than most people. Or non highly sensitive people, low sensitive people. I said it in the last video, but there's a whole spectrum of sensitivity. All right, number 4, you are affected strongly by substances, from caffeine to alcohol, illicit drugs, over-the-counter prescribed drugs, supplements, food. You have, again, just a higher sensitivity. Whatever reaction they cause, sometimes they cause the opposite response or maybe just a much heightened response from other people. Number 5, you have a rich, complex inner life. You are introspective. You might have a lot of mental analysis. You might like psychology and philosophy and things like that. And you enjoy diving into special interests, whatever that might be. Um, I'm going to make myself smaller so you can see this image. I like this image of introspection. Okay. Number 6, you cannot stand small talk. Anybody relate to this? You prefer deep conversation. You're energized by complex topics, and you have deep friendship or nothing often. It feels kind of unbearable to have very surfacey friendships. So there's deep friendship, or it feels like you can't have a relationship. Okay, number 7, you are deeply moved by the arts and or music. So you might create art or music or just really appreciate it. And you may regularly experience awe and wonder. This will go into another one about nature, but it can be about any and everything in life, right? Because you're just experiencing and feeling things on a deeper level, which can elicit positive and negative emotion. You might be very playful. Sometimes people who are highly sensitive can be eccentric in a certain way and have a very playful style. You may be very spiritual, which is another kind of deeply connected thing, um, and experience very strong positive emotions. Number 8, you feel most at home in nature. So you may really appreciate, this goes along with the awe and wonder, right? Sunsets, sunrises. You may love trees, animals, oceans, mountains, open spaces, green spaces. It provides grounding and calming and regulation for your nervous system. And you feel a deep connection. Number 9, you are cautious and conscientious. So you're likely risk averse, not sensation seeking. That's the other end of the spectrum of sensitivity. You may be hypervigilant and thus become easily anxious because you notice kind of the things that are unsafe or uncomfortable in your environment. Number 10, you startle easily. This is kind of again very connected. You startle easily or you get overwhelmed frequently. You might jump at sudden movements or sudden sounds, and you seems like you're more affected than others by stress. And there's lots of things that can cause stress, right? Whether it's the sensory input, feeling other people's emotions, um, trying to do a lot of things at once, and all those things will cause stress. Whereas for a person who with lower reactivity or sensitivity, it won't cause that for them. So, and then the startling easily, of course, can be a post-traumatic response, but you can also just have a system, again, that is more attuned, more sensing of changes in stimuli, whether it's bright lights or sudden movements, and it'll set off your nervous system more than someone who's has low sensitivity. Okay, number 11, you get tired or fatigued by quote unquote normal daily activities. So, this, in my experience, is very much kind of like you want a deep connection with a person or nothing. It's like I want to be engaged in an activity that engages me on a deep intellectual or spiritual emotional level. And so tasks that feel mundane are very hard to focus on. Administrative tasks might be cleaning or organizing or errands or whatever your system considers boring tasks. So, also a full-time job might feel impossible to you. Part-time work or work from home might feel much better because your system needs a lot of alone time and downtime and time in nature to rest and recharge and regulate. So a regular full-time hours job is not usually for a neurosensitive person. Okay, number 12, you try very hard to avoid making mistakes or disappointing people because, again, there's a high sensitivity to noticing the cues when other people are upset or disappointed, and it feels really uncomfortable, which can then produce parts in us who are perfectionists, people pleasing, high performing, and have a lot of performance anxiety. And maybe other people don't necessarily pick up on all those cues. It's interesting to me because I have a part that has a little side note about this little thought that a lot of people who are on the autism spectrum, people say, oh, they don't know how to pick up social cues and know what to do and what not to do. But I think for many people on the spectrum, the experience inside is actually that they're hypersensitive. Um, and it can be really confusing because they are actually reading the maybe contradictory signals that a person is putting out. They're saying one thing, but their energy is saying the opposite thing. And so you can get really confused about what do they actually want me to do, right? Because we're actually receiving so much input that's not just the prescribed social action that they're doing because they should do it. We're receiving their real feeling also, and then we become confused about what we should do. That's my experience. Okay. Number 13, you avoid violent TV shows or movies. This can be horror, suspense, anything with war, trauma, depiction. For me, it's the news. News is very unsettling for my nervous system. Any kind of politics or um, divisive fighting. A lot of people seem to be energized by outrage. I try to avoid it as much as possible. Any kind of conflict on social media, crime shows, things like that. 14, you feel bodily sensations strongly. So you sense things on the outside to a high degree, but also on the inside. Cues like hunger, the need to use the restroom, hot, cold, pain, all of that. Like I feel every uh, food as it goes all the way through my small and large intestine, right? I feel it the whole way through. So there's this heightened feeling. Okay, 15, you feel a strong fear of rejection. This goes back to the other one, but this is often called in neurodiversity rejection sensitivity, but it just means exactly what it says, that there's this high, again, reading of the cues of the person in front of you. This can be related to trauma, as the last point says, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And it's all kind of intertwined because this high sensitivity makes us more susceptible to trauma because we are able to read the energy more of the person in front of us. Maybe if they have ill intent or their parts are trying to harm us, we experience it on a higher level. And so we may have had very real rejection and abandonment in our past, and then we're even more hyper vigilant around it. And criticism might feel like death. That's what my parts explained to me. We might have parts that are really hyper vigilant around others' micro expressions or signs of rejection. And we might be very diligent to always do the right thing. Again, these are parts of us that develop to try to protect us. Okay, 16, you feel strong emotions regularly. Sadness, anger, fear, anxiety, panic, disgust, happiness, joy, awe, wonder, right? All the good and the bad. You feel it to a very high and low, degree. And you might have parts that really, really, really try to suppress it because you've been told that you're too much and it's too much and stop it. Um, but again, in my experience, that's one of those things where all my life, my protective parts tried incredibly hard. I had armies of parts trying to make my emotions be smaller, less intense, and they never, ever, ever succeeded. They could not do it. And so there was so much turmoil in my system around that. And so, again, part of healing is learning to accept that that's okay. It's not a bad thing at all, actually. The fact that we have higher access to our emotional guidance system, right? It's like a GPS. Our emotions are telling us when our needs are being met or not met, or maybe when we're taking on energy from another person. And it's all very valuable information. So just allowing the emotions is really the solution there. So 17, you might have been called too sensitive frequently from a young age. Crybaby, drama queen, too much, you're being too dramatic. You might ask your parents like if you were considered a colicky baby. I have a colleague who runs Family Sensitive and talks about how in the last video I talked about how 15 to 20% of the population is neurosensitive. And apparently 15 to 20% of babies are described as colicky babies. It's a really interesting coincidence there, right? That maybe colicky babies who are crying for no reason, right? It's because they're actually feeling uh things again, their hunger, their bowels, their uh inside and outside sensory input. They're feeling it on a much higher level and they're expressing their discomfort about it. Okay. Okay, this one is just my theory. It may or may not be true, but I have a theory that if you are an Enneagram 4, 5, or 9, which is the individualist, the investigator, the peacemaker, which is considered the low energy triad. That's not what they actually call it. But Suzanne Stabile, a teacher on the Enneagram, talks about the 3, the 7, and the 8 are the more assertive, aggressive, high energy um, triad. And let's see, 1, 2, and 6 are kind of this middle, um, kind of going along with people. I'm not describing this very well right now, but the 4, 5, and 9 are in this triad where they have very low energy. They have very low capacity and access to very much energy. And a lot, very big percentage of the people I meet who are neurosensitive are identify as fours on the Enneagram. Fives also have very low energy, often have very big special interests, want to go deep, like alone time. Um, Nines also have very low energy and conserve their energy inside and outside. I'm not saying that other numbers might not also be have the possibility to be neurosensitive, but it feels like if you're 4, 5, or 9, you almost certainly are to some degree. Okay. Number 19, you may have been diagnosed with autism, ADHD, OCD, anxiety, depression, or autoimmune disease. Neurosensitivity underlies all of these. They're expressions of neurosensitivity, and some of them are just a diagnosis, like anxiety and depression, autoimmune disease, are a result of living in a world that's not designed for high sensitivity, which requires us to mask and push our capacities. Our needs are not met. So then, of course, we have anxiety and depression, and our bodies start rebelling, telling us your needs are not met, right? So that's why a lot of these diagnoses go hand in hand with neurosensitivity. And finally, number 20, you like a slow pace of life. This little sign on here says slow down. So you may not like doing very many things in a short period of time. It feels very overwhelming. You may only like to do one big thing in a day, especially if it's social. It takes a lot of energy. And so some people can, do many, many, many things in one day. But if often neurosensitive people need to really pace out, especially, the things that are draining for them. You don't like to be rushed. You appreciate calm environments. Again, not high sensation seeking. Because we have so many sensations already, just naturally from everything inside and outside of ourselves, we don't like anything added to that. So, like an example is when we were flying, traveling the other day, I noticed that when people around me were having conflict, upset with the TSA person or with their family member or something, my whole body just started to tense up. I could feel in my body my nervous system dysregulating because of the conflict outside of me. So as much as possible, whatever's within my power to be able to not be around watching shows or people in real life that have a lot of stress and conflict is helpful because I already have a baseline of stress just from living in the world, right? So I don't need any more than that. Okay. I tried to go through that as quickly as I could. And let me know if you relate or identify. You can put in the comments the number out of 20 that you identified with if you want to. Um, Maybe if you do that, I'll know that you watched to the end. You can just put the number out of 20. And if you have any that you want to add, experiences that you as a neurosensitive person have that you think should be added to the list, you can put those in the comments as well. If you have any questions, put those. And of course, if you want to, give a thanks. And in the next video, I will either shout you out, read your comment, or answer your question. And if you do send a thanks and I'm not responding to it, it may be that I didn't see it. Sometimes there's weird things on YouTube where I don't see certain comments. I don't know why. So don't feel bad about writing back again or getting a hold of me and saying, "Hey, Christine, did you see my thanks?" Because I do definitely intend to respond to you. All right. I hope you all have a good next few days and Be very, very kind to yourselves and to all your parts until we meet again.